Okay, this is a quick review of my latest bike. About 3 years ago I did that review comparing the XR650 Hondas to some of their competitors. And I've gone through two bikes since then. I had a Triumph Tiger 800, fun bike on the street, but the reason they call them adventure bikes is because once you get them in the dirt, you're in for a real freaking adventure. They're a pain in the ass, too heavy. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would buy one of those unless maybe you were traveling down through Africa or something. Even then, it was terrible on dirt roads. All those big bikes are. They're just too damn heavy. So then I had a CRF 450X, great dirt bike, but it wasn't really practical for the street. I'm doing more exploring on fire roads and stuff. When I come out on a major county road or something, I wanted something I could go for mile after mile without beating it up at 80. So my search led me to the KTM 690 Enduro and also the Husqvarna. I guess the 701 Husqvarna is almost identical to it, but it seems to be without a doubt the most popular, quote, dual sport bike out there. And for the price, it better be. One of the things I noticed on this when I compare it to my XR650s, it did not have the low end torque, and by low end I mean right off of idle. You know, those Hondas were like tractors. They'll go anywhere from like idle speed on up. This thing doesn't really hit its, well, in stock form at about 3,500 RPM, it would really start to show some horsepower and torque. But below that, it wasn't too good. I helped it considerably after talking to my friends at Apex down there. They got a lot of experience in modifying these things. I went with the Q4 FMF pipe, and I noticed that after I remapped it, that it pulled at about 2,500 RPM. It made a big difference. There's one particular hill around here. I tried it on in stock form, and you know when you give it the throttle and it's in the wrong gear and it kind of bucks. I did the same test after this pipe, and the thing just accelerated. So it made a big difference. And they tell me it'll help also in the heating problem. These have a tendency to overheat. Don't keep them moving. And they say that'll help that. So that was the first modification I made. I put a rack on it. I'm drawing a blank as to the name on this rack. I looked for the receipt, but I had trouble finding it. I really like it. It's got some machined grooves in here for straps, and also you can, in a lot of places where you can use the old bungee, and that's kind of what I do. If I'm taking a day trip, I just throw pants and shirt and some shoes in there in a bag, and it's really nice. And also it's real easy to get to your gas. By the way, that's one of my first complaints on this. The gas filler is in a terrible spot. And I thought, I can't believe those engineers were that dim. But after thinking about it, had they put it on the side anywhere, because the gas tank is actually sits much lower, it's not a traditional tank, then people would have complained about not being able to get to their panniers when they put bags on it. So it's probably in about the best spot it could be, all things considered. Put a grab strap on here. Some things I really like about it, the suspension is superb to the Honda. This was set up for the gentleman I bought it from. This is the 2015, and he's the same relative height and weight as me. And I'll tell you, I rode 2 weeks ago 250 miles on fire roads and back roads up into Fairplay, Weston Pass, 12,000 feet, and then over into Leadville, spent the night and came back. So this thing, I intentionally sought out some rough areas to see how it do, and it's phenomenal. And even though it's I guess heavy is relative, 305 pounds stock. By the way, the FMF is 5.5 pounds lighter than the stock pipe. But even though it is heavy like that, you don't really notice it until it's at about a 45-degree angle. Like if you were to lay it over, picking it up, you'll feel the weight compared to it, like a 250-pound 500 EXE KTM, but that's primarily a dirt bike. As you're moving it between your legs and going through the rocks, it feels really light. And I can't help but think that is for one reason, and that is the gas tank lies here underneath the seat and is part of that inner fender thing. And so you've got all your weight. By the way, this is 3.2 gallons, the gas tank. And it's got a reserve on it, about 2.1 quarts, I believe. And based on my writing, that'd give me about 35 miles once the low fuel light comes on. But with 3 gallons, it's 7 pounds a gallon. That's 20 some pounds, sitting much lower than a conventional gas tank up here. Some things I don't like, the key switch right here. I can't believe it. They put it in a little low spot. Anytime it rains or snows, I'm sure they put some seals in there, hopefully. But sooner or later, those are going to dry out. That thing is going to become problematic as far as keeping moisture out of it. And also, I have a tank bag. No, I put it over there. I have a small tank bag. And it's really hard to get to the key with the tank bag there. That's real negative. Some of the stuff I like. Really, most of you see it's got pretty cool graphics. I got nothing really to complain about. The suspension is awesome. I sought out washboardy roads and different things to test, see how it would track. Tracks just smooth as silk. I mean, it's what a difference. I think this is rated at 65 horsepower. I don't know what my old Hondas were, but it was significantly less. But they did not handle like this bike handles. Now, I've had second thoughts because this bike, I bought it used and I paid the gentleman, I think it's $8,600 for it. But you know, these bikes new are almost $11,000. You can find a Honda and fix it up pretty trick for $6,000. So I guess my point is this twice the bike? Hell no. But it is more fun to ride. I'd say it's about 30% more fun to ride. And out on the highway, I mean, this thing will do 80, 85 miles an hour all day long. And I really like it. Something else I've noticed about it, got a little bit more vibration in the engine than the Honda. I understand their newest engine's coming out, maybe in their, the Duke, the 690 Duke has got dual counterbalancers. That may be online next year. But it does vibrate a little bit more, not to where it bothers me, but it's slightly noticeable. This has got ABS. Don't like ABS. Matter of fact, I was rolling pretty good and came into a corner that I normally lock it up, and I forgot to turn off the ABS, which is easy to do. You just got to press the button. I went shooting off the corner out into a field about 20, 30 feet out into the weeds. Obviously, nothing was there, didn't crash. But from here on out, when it's on dirt, shut that freaking ABS off. I think if you're a new rider or just learning, it's probably good. It'll keep you from locking them up in places where you shouldn't lock them up and going down. But if you've been riding along, you really don't need that ABS in the dirt. You get a much better feel when you're in control of that rear brake and the front brake. What else did I do? I threw on this Rigid Industries light. I bought that for the Honda, and it's a 3500 lumen, and I just mounted it on a ram mount, put it on the handlebar, and let me see, turn this around here. I wouldn't want to use it on the highway. I can loosen this up and shine it at the camera. I wouldn't want to use it on the highway because it's solid on. You have no control over the high beam, low beam. But man, when you're out in the dirt, compared to the stock headlight, there's no comparison. I also threw a couple more ram mounts up here for, one's for the GPS, and one is for, I have a radar unit. If I'm going to be out on the road very long, I put the radar unit on there. What else do I like about it? I got the Take 2 mirrors. If you've been riding along, you know these were developed by Ned Seuss. He's a local guy, did the Dakar and stuff, but he sells these through his own website. These are friggin' awesome. I mean, look at that thing. It's on a joint, and then you just tighten it up. So when you're hauling or in the dirt and you want to fold them down, just fold them down, and the limbs and stuff, they won't catch limbs. These are awesome. They're about $50, I think. What else did I do? I put the flatline skid plate on there, because as we know, factory skid plates are all a joke. that's it. Oh, I did change the, I put a 14 tooth countershaft sprocket on it and tried it. Yeah, it's really nice up to about 70, but then you're working your engine. I was doing 70 miles an hour at, 5,600 RPM, yeah. And this red line's at 8, okay? So, you know, if I wanted to go down a highway on a long stretch at 80, it'd be pushing. I'd be up around $6,000, and I really don't want to wring out the engine like that. Speaking of that, the recommended oil change is a lot longer than the Honda, but it does have a sight glass. It's really nice to be able to check your oil level without pulling the dipstick out. That sucks, having dipsticks. I think that's about it. You know, when I went over Western Pass, it was 32 degrees. This thing starts, it doesn't matter how cold. I came out of my room and it was like 38 and lead going. You just hit the button and the fuel injection is awesome. It's there. And it didn't matter what elevation change. Don't worry about jetting. It's always there, always on. I think that's about it. So I guess if I were going to recap this bike compared to my old Hondas, is if you got the money, you're going to appreciate it. But it's definitely not worth twice the price of a Honda if you're, you know, on a budget or counting dollars. Well, anyway, hopefully that helped you, and see you later.